with this stuff, you want to make sure that you have a goal first. Are you doing it for lifestyle? You have to understand, who am I trying to create this program for? Am I doing it for physique? Right? I think you have to be able to have a clear idea of where you're trying to take your programming. Are you taking it for a skill? Right? Someone puts skills because there's a lot of skills. Or are we doing it for competition and performance? Right? And so when you have a coach, they should be able to kind of be able to look at these things, and the most important one is to rebuild. Right? And so when you look at calisthenics, you have the ability to choose any of these different types of program, meaning you could do lifestyle, meaning just for someone for long-term mobility and quality of life. And quality of life, you remember what it was based upon?
Yeah.
Quality of life, right? This is based upon your range of motion of Jimmy's joints, right?
Mm-hmm.
The range of motion of your joints is what determines your quality of life. And so lifestyle would be mostly appealing to that, wouldn't it? But you can't have a good physique if you're not able to move all the joints correctly, true? Okay, good. And then you can't have any calisthenic skills if you don't have flexibility, strength, or mobility of those wrists. Okay, good. And you can't compete without joints being in good. Okay, good. And then you can't rebuild somebody without first talking about, so do you understand what must be in a program first? Right? So what part of your program, part one, are you implementing this?
The beginning.
I don't know, you tell me, but every single program should have it, right? Because that's what will give better quality of life altogether. Now, each program should have a different frequency, if we were to say. So this line here that I'm going to attach is going to have a different frequency, right? So let's start down here. When someone's rebuilding themselves, what should they do? 2 times a week. 1 time to learn, 1 time to apply on their own. Is that okay?
Mm-hmm.
Now this would create clarity for an individual, right? Because if I'm selling somebody on a program to rebuild them, I'm going to meet with them once a week. I expect them to practice that routine on their own and come back to me with any questions or whatever that we may have along the way. And then we can next focus on a different concept until we rebuild them slowly to be able to do certain things, right? And then once they are able to start doing this, then guess what? We can start going into this, because after we rebuild someone, let's go ahead and put that number 1. This would be number 1, rebuilding somebody. Then you can take them into a lifestyle, because now everybody has a lifestyle. Now what you have to do is fit their lifestyle, but what's needed is to have at least a routine where you meet 3 times a week, or you work out 3 times a week. Why? Legs, push, pull. Is that okay?
Mm-hmm.
Is that not a complete lifestyle? But then you add the quality of range of motion of the joints. So then really phase 2 goes on to movements. I'm going to put holistic movements. Can I put that there? And I say holistic movements because we're talking about the whole body. That's what holistic means, right? The entire thing. And so that's what this goes back to. And so you have to then create a program where somebody's coming in for legs, pushing and pulling. Now this would mean they're developing their basic strength, right? Because strength leads to what? The ability to have a good physique, right? We increase muscle mass density, we increase their physique. Now what does this mean? That before you can have skills, you must have strength. And strength and physique go together, right? Now what's the thing about physique? Well, it changes because now, we have to do upper body twice a week, and lower twice a week. So what we're doing here is that we're trying to make sure that every single time that you train, you see the difference here. First it's 2 times a week, then it's 3 times a week, then it's 4 times a week. But do you see why? Because we're increasing the density of the workout, specifically focused on the goal, which is mass, right? Okay, now it's mass, and so now we're focusing on the volumes. Is this making sense? Every program is different, but every program should be approached with an idea that they all start with this. And as you take somebody through this, they'll go through this. And then as they get through there, they got to go through there. And then guess what? We're taking them to the skills that they need be able to excel at those movements that may be in their lifestyle, right? Some people like specific front levers, planches, handstands, whatever they may want to be. Remember, you're going to go ahead and want to train one day the skill, because this is for the brain, this is central nervous system, right? And then you're going to have your other days that are going to build up for that. Now, guess what? You have to have your legs push, pull, right? So we're going to have to make sure that all the exercises that you choose are more directly towards this, but you're going to be able to go ahead and have, I like to say, 2 strength days, right? Now that could be legs, and then 2 auxiliary days. Does that make sense? Because you have the main movement, and then you have the 2 things that are going to build up your strength for that, and the 2 exercises that build up each individual muscle. So let's say that if you want to do a handstand, you would train your ability to do crow balance, right? But in order to do crow balance, you need to have strong push-ups and body weight dips, right? And so the push-up and the body weight dip, if those are the 2 exercises that you're strength training with, then you would also need to be able to do triceps and chest. Is that not true? Individually, right? Or core, or legs, hip flexors. That's up to you to decide what auxiliary movement patterns you need to condition in to fit this strength. And so that's how you would do it. And then lastly, you would have your last one, which is competition, right? So now what you got to look like is this. You have to break it down for high intensity. You have to break it up for strength training. You have to break it up for mobility. And you have to break it up for your metabolic conditioning. Now, this would be what we call days A. And then you would have your static days, static training, which is like your days that are B. Does this make sense? So now what you have is now not necessarily focused on legs or upper body. It's understanding that everything is involved with this. That's when we're going to have high intensity. Squat jumps, push-ups, burpees. Then we go to strength training. We focus more on, once again, these type of things right here that we've done here are still going to apply in the same workout though. And we always apply mobility and we always apply metabolic conditioning to make sure that, once again, when you are a level 5 type of athlete, you've already learned how to do all of these things from here to here within 90 minutes. You see what I'm saying? But it starts with being able to go ahead and learn on your own with somebody for 60 minutes. And then when you learn with somebody, then you can go ahead and apply it on your own, because really you're only applying for about 30. It takes 30 minutes to teach, 30 minutes to work on it. Then you do it on your own for 30 minutes. We build habits. Once you build those habits, you take them to this, where you tell them what to do on a Monday, a Wednesday, and a Friday, let's say, right? Keeping it really simple for them. Once they've developed those habits to be able to do those Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays by themselves, then they can add in 2 times a week for strength training. This could mean like they are working strictly pull-ups, right, and dips. One day pull-ups, one day dips. The other day they're doing squats. The other day they're doing lunges, right? So now we have this great routine for strength, upper body, and we're getting all our basic conditioning, because at the end of the day, this stuff here is what's called high intensity, right? It's about a 30-minute workout. Then as we go here, we focus on what's called hypertrophy. Right? Because this here, it's all about central nervous system. You see how it all works? You got to first teach their brain, then you improve their heart rate, then you improve their muscle size, and then here you're going into brain plus strength, right? Because now you're being mindful of where you're at. And so this becomes more of what we call static strength progression, right? We're building up for static, which is here, body control, right? Where you can be under any type of global position without issue. And now you see when to start implementing more static training, more reps and sets, more things that are focused on like handstands. We'll go like right here. But you first got to get somebody to these skills, right? And the only way that they can get to the skills is once they've been through a few weeks of upper body and lower body conditioning, at least twice a week. Does that give you more clarity? Where are you at?
I would say I'm at either in between. and 4.
In between 3 and 4. I would agree. I would agree. You have great strength and you're teaching your brain to learn how to use different strength fibers to sustain your body weight, right? But you're not able to hold it yet. But you have the strength. That's a great place to be at. But you see how you did a quick self-assessment based upon, okay, when I meet somebody, I have to be like, okay, this person needs me to rebuild them. Or this person needs me to go ahead and teach them how to be in their lifestyle. This person needs to have good physique. But I can't have them have a good physique if they don't know how to first do this. And first we got to break their habits that they used to have. Is this making sense? And so that's kind of why when it comes to quality of life, range of motion, then the movements, then the volume, and then it becomes about the intensity. Phase 4, intensity. And then phase 5, progressive overload. Right? And then phase 6 is time under tension. Static training. Right? And so if we want to help somebody have great quality of life, make sure the program starts with the way that their body can move their joints, then move into a holistic routine that implements both mobility and strength training, of course, holistically, for lengthening and contracting, right? Because when we see that, holistic movements, it's push, pull, legs, but also contract and lengthen. Is that true? We can't forget those things. And then as we go to volume, it's more about how often and how many sets, right? So frequency plus sets and reps. Right here is just time. As we move into intensity, it's rest periods and number of exercises, right, without break. So how many things you have to do. And then progressive overload is the global position plus the angle, right, plus the tempo. And all these things matter, right? But you see how there's always something changing. And then for time under tension, it's the duration. True? How long you hold it? So these are the things that are going to help you create not only the program to help you assess somebody, but to also learn how often they should be doing it with you. And I think that ultimately this will help you provide anybody with high quality of life for yourself as well. But does that give you more clarity than just beyond the exercises that we've covered at ALF University? We good?
Thank you.
No doubt.
You can have it, you can be it, you can do it. But you got to accept the challenge.